Tonight on Scoreboard Live, we're all over the Lone Star State, from the top 10 showdown in Big D to an interconference shootout in the Piney Woods. And down in Austin, Maynard gets a huge test from G-Town. Aaron Hardigan joins us to talk defensive ends, and the DQ Big Game of the Week goes island hopping in Euless. High School Scoreboard Live coming at you right now. Welcome into the show. Rick Renner alongside the guru, the great Craig Way. Did you know that 22% of the NFL quarterbacks played in Texas high school football? And if you count all the backups, that's 19 quarterbacks. So many have played in big games tonight. Possible NFL guys with district play in full swing. Yeah, not only is district play underway, we've had a defending state champion, a #1 ranked team in the state, go down to defeat tonight. Also, we've had matchups between top 10 ranked schools in just about all of the classifications. A lot of drama out there, even if it was a non-district game. We start with an absolutely huge matchup in the DF-Dub. #1 in defending state champ Allen against the best defense in the state, #6 Coppell. In last year's championship run, Allen had only one stumble on the way to the UIL trophy at Cowboys Stadium at the time. Coppell beat them in overtime despite an 8-point Allen lead in the fourth quarter at Coppell. But that loss put Kyler Murray at quarterback the next week, and the rest was history. So what would happen tonight? Revenge or repeat at the $64 million stadium? Sean Marion at the game, and Coppell was in the matrix all night. First quarter, Allen Jr., Kyler Murray getting it done to Josh Pettyjohn. 39-yard hookup, Allen with the early lead and often. And later, it's Tay Evans, the linebacker, taking the snap and runs it in for 6 yards. And the rushing touchdown, the Eagles led by 17 after 1. In the second, more of the same. Murray throws a deep pass downfield. And look at the grab by Jalen Guyton. And he holds on. And the Eagles would keep the lead, and they pick up the W, 31-10. How about this on your Ford scoreboard? This one was statistically a lot closer. West and McDaniel combined for 228 yards rushing in a losing cause, which gives them 1,000 on the season. But Murray, too much. 212 yards passing, 50 running, 2 scores. Allen gets revenge. They're 5-0. How about another big matchup in the Metroplex? Hebron taking on Plano, and Plano Senior High quarterback Mitchell Hansen on the keeper around the end, and he just does get inside the pylon for the score. Plano's on top 7-0. Then the Hawks come to life. 22-yard pass, Carson Profit to Jamal Adams. Then it's Trayvon Hughes up the middle, breaks tackles, takes that one 20 yards in for the score. Start of the second half, and it's Cedric Dale on the kickoff. And a good way to start the second half for the Hebron Hawks. Here goes Dale down the sidelines. Can he take it all the way in? Close, not quite, but inside the 5-yard line. And that's where Trayvon Hughes steps up, takes it over from there, takes it in. Hebron gets the win, 28-7 the final, handing Plano Senior High its first loss. Brian Brazel with his 100th career coaching victory. Outstanding coach, great guy, and he spoke with our Angela Heyman after the game.
I'm real proud of where our kids battled tonight. Plano did a great job early on, and then their quarterback got hurt, and that obviously put that a little damper. But I was real proud of how our defense played, but then I was real proud of our offense started controlling the ball. That was great.
And you hand Plano their first loss of the season. They're now 3-1. How well would you say your team executed tonight?
Well, I think we played pretty well. I mean, there were always some things early on where they did a good job of stopping us, but you know, we're excited about the fact that we won a game against a good Plano football team. They're a good team. They're good defensively, and you know, like I said, we've been through the juggernaut we've been through. It's good to be able to know that you can rely and look back on some of those wins, and we've had some tough situations. Our kids have battled back through it. So I think they were a good football team, and I expect them to be a playoff team. And I'm glad we're going to get to go to our bye week with a victory. So you know, now we got to regroup, get ready, because I know Coppell will be a tough opponent for us. But we're excited about where we are.
Meanwhile, in East Texas, #1 Carthage in 3A meets the third-ranked team in 4A. White House, somebody, Zoe Musco, T. Gorey with all the glory as the Bulldogs lead it. But here comes Patrick Mahomes, Texas Tech bound and awfully good. He'll take one to Dre Walker, who will walk on into the end zone. And they had it going. And then later on, check out Mahomes here. He's on the move, and he'll find Coleman Patterson. Yeah, and he'll get in for the touchdown. Mahomes with a great game. He threw 7 touchdowns in this game. Ridiculous game for him. He's already thrown for 2,000 yards this season and 24 touchdowns. What a game as White House wins it 63-39 in the battle of two powers in the Piney Woods.
The greater Austin area basically owned the late stages of the Class 4A playoffs last season. All 4 teams that advanced to the UIL's version of the Final Four, the 4A Division I and Division II playoffs, were all located within a 20-mile radius of the capital city, with Georgetown advancing to the Division I title round and Cedar Park claiming the school's first state championship. That was in D2. We're now hitting the halfway weekend of the 2013 regular season, and little has changed. 3 schools, Cedar Park, Elgin, and Manor, are ranked in the top 10, and Georgetown and Leander have both been ranked this season, which makes early district games all the more crucial. Add to that a fierce arch rivalry, and what you have is tonight's game at Bible Stadium, Cedar Park at Leander. Now, Leander had started off 2-2, as we mentioned, but Lee Bridges Ball Club got a big win over Pflugerville last week, but boy, the man that Rico likes to call the Grim Reaper, Nate Grimm. The 12-yard quarterback keeper puts the T-Wolves on top 7-0, but Brandon Hop on the zone read. Nice keep, and he'll hop his way for a 33-yard touchdown to tie the score at 7. Then Hop going to go to the air. The move, the pass, finds Chris Levy. Lions are up 17-7 in this game, but Grimm has the answer. 5-yard keeper of his own, takes it in for the score, and like the champions they are, Cedar Park fights back, and the T-Wolves manage to claim this one. The final score is 24-17, rally from a 17-7 deficit to win this one over their arch rivals.
The Grim Reaper, love that guy. Let's take a break. Coming up next on Scoreboard Live, we will venture into the Alamo City and North Texas again, Arlington. And Arlington Martin squaring off. Surprise there. Plus, we'll rock it to the social universe with Kami and Liddy of the Fox Sports Southwest Girls, if you keep it where it is.
High School Scoreboard Live is brought to you by Ford F-Series, America's best-selling truck for 36 straight years. By Dairy Queen for the best tasting treats, eats, and drinks in Texas. DQ just tastes better. And by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Down to the Alamo City we go, and speaking of Alamo, how about Alamo Heights taking on Bernie Champion, and this is how you punch a team in the mouth. Alamo Heights, an onside kick to start the game.
Wow.
Zach McConnell gets way up to recover it. Mules execute it, and the offense goes to work. Big first down pickup here on 3rd and 9. Dalton Banks to Jake Osborne for 15 yards. Sets up this run by the very, very good Byron Proctor. He goes in from 12 yards out. Mules up 7-0, less than 2 minutes into the game. The defense starts showing out. Mules stampeding to the ball. 4 defenders in on that tackle, forcing the Chargers to punt. All Heights. Alamo Heights wins at 41-17.
Well, both Harlandale and the funky cold Medina Valley picked as favorites in a wide-open District 29 4A. The Indians are unbeaten and looking unstoppable with quarterback Brandon Raymond. 9 touchdowns, no interceptions, and running back Nick Martinez averages a crazy good 9 yards per carry to Castroville. And the district showdown in the Alamo City, a big play early on by the funky cold Medina Valley defense. Early, ball's tipped in the air, and it looks like a tip drill. And, yep, they come down with it. They'll take the ball all the way down to the 2-yard line. From there, Brad Griggs would get Griggy with it. He'll take it in. He gets the honors of 7-0 Medina Valley. Then, when Harlandale got the ball back, they made some positive plays. Nick Martinez, I told you about him. He's got some power running there. And then Nick the Quick would score to tie the game at 7. Get out of my way. That's just going with the passion. Harlandale, though, gets it back, scores again. Brandon Raymond keeps it himself, and that would make it 14-0 Indians. And a bit later, Raymond to James Mendoza, and he'll take it over the Mendoza line as Harlandale wins it 33-14. The Panthers finding their way, though, identity-wise. With new coach Steve Hale, they've already passed for nearly more yards than 2012, 4 games in. Thursday night, Cibolo Steel continues to own San Marcos. The Knights have won every meeting by 24 or more points. The Knights get it going here. D'Angelo Wallace He'll haul in the 47-yard TD pass from L.J. Williams, and Steel is up 7-zip just 3 minutes into the game. The Knights go back to work later. Williams to Matthew Moen, and he is mowing down a defender. That's just nasty. Huge gain for the Matt truck. A Rattler finally brings him down at the 25 and just delays the inevitable, and they'll take it in. 51-7 the final. Steel showing passing game here. Williams threw for 235 yards, 3 touchdowns, nearly what he's thrown all season. They can run and they can pass. Time now to see what's all the rage in a busy night in social media. And for that, the queens of Twitter, that is, Kami and Liddy of the Fox Sports Southwest Girls. Ladies, it's yours.
Thanks, guys. You know we always have a blast on Football Friday, and tonight social media has been booming. We've had so many pictures, and you're going to go ahead and talk about where they've been coming from, right?
I am. So one of our coolest new features this year on Football Friday is our Twitter tracker. You can go to foxsportssouthwest.com/Football Friday and see all of the Texas high school hotspots across the state and even, as you can see, across the country. So keep tweeting using that hashtag TXHSFB and get your school on the map.
And speaking of pictures, I mentioned our first picture of the night is from Stephen Hammond. He always sends in the best behind the scenes. So he basically is giving Coach Peach this pregame speech. This game will come down to heart, passion, and execution.
Very cool. I love seeing locker room photos like that. Like what goes on
intense.
Behind the scenes before the game, getting them pumped up. So neat. Our next picture is from Joe Bowling. The final score in this game was 54-0. That's not looking too good. So they're giving high fives after the game.
You know, I always love that, though. It doesn't matter win or lose. They're always a good sport about it. So
absolutely.
Way to be positive. All right, so this week's theme was Spirit Week, and so in honor of that, we have Katie Adams doing a little collage of a back handspring. I remember Lee and I both actually got to tumble. Do you remember learning how to do this?
Oh, I did.
Lots of falling on the head and on the mat. She did good. She did.
I want to know who took these pictures, though. How did they get?
I don't know. It was pretty instant. Probably with an iPhone, because technology is pretty crazy.
There you go.
All right. So this week on Theme Week is going to be your four-legged pets. So whatever you got.
Or four-legged friends.
Or
it can be anything with 4 legs.
But with football in the theme as well.
Absolutely. So mascots, dress your dog up, anything fun like that. Send those in using that hashtag TXHSFB, and we will get those on the show next week. Guys?
Thanks, Kami and Liddy. You know, we're 2 guys with 4 legs together. We can do that.
Tie our arms together, you know, back to back, maybe the 4.
Alamo City, Cibolo Steel. We know they can run it with Justin Stockton. He's a 2,000-yard bona fide rusher. But, man, we saw them throw it around a little bit. They're going to be extremely dangerous if they can do that on offense.
Can't wait to see a lot of what's going to happen in the Alamo City. Not only are you talking about Cibolo Steel, hey, nobody still has beaten Smithson Valley. Larry Hill's ball club goes down to the Bay tonight and really beats up on Corpus Christi King, so they do their job. Don't forget about Jim Streety and Madison, and we just saw Alamo Heights looking very impressive at the 4A level, so Alamo City looking pretty pumped up early.
Break time on the show. Coming up next, it's back to the DF Dub. Plano High puts its perfect record on the line against an angry Hebron Hawk team. Plus, we'll check in on the Battle of Arlington between Martin and Arlington High, and Corbin Smith of the Dallas Morning News will chime in with his thoughts tonight. You're watching High School Scoreboard Live.
Into the North Central Texas region we go. Arlington High against Martin at UTA Maverick Stadium, and early on, Martin with a quick 6 to take the early lead. Here they go again. As Jaloon Bolden gets the handoff and drills in, no problem. Colts trying to fight back. It's Michael Gray into the end zone. Caught. Nice catch by Bronderick Bell, but the Warriors just too much. Josh Watson, the keeper, in for the score. At that point, 38-17. There's your final. Arlington Martin with the win over Arlington High.
Craig, what a game in Keller. Justin Northwest 3-0, first time in 7 years. Keller 3-0, first time in 5 years. Somebody's O must go. Emmanuel Moore gets more. He'll go 6 yards for the touchdown here, and the Texans are off and running and flipping. They're up 7-0. Later on, a little trickery here. Jesse Drummer, who drummed him, he fakes the first handoff and then the reverse. Does he run it? He finds Brady Bird wide open in the end zone, and the Texans, they take it 31-17 the final. Justin Northwest becomes the primary challenger to mighty South Lake Carroll. This is the longest we've seen the Texans unbeaten in years. Dennis Droll ran for 129, and they picked off 2 passes.
Over to the other side of the Metroplex we go, and it's Dr. Ralph W. Poteet High of Mesquite taking on Newman Smith, and there's those Poteet Pirates ready to go. And So, too, is quarterback Lane Novy. He will find Legarian Poole. Sweet catch and run in for the score. Poteet's running back, DeAndre McNeil, will finish off a drive for the Pirates. The toss sweep, cuts it back in, 8 yards into the end zone for the score. This was all Poteet in this one. They win it 54-0 over Newman Smith.
Let's find out the hot topic in Sports Day HS tomorrow morning in the Dallas Morning News with Corbett Smith. Corbett, we thought Coppell was working with one of the best defenses in the state, but Allen, they get revenge tonight.
They still have one of the best defenses in the state. On the other side of the ball, though, Allen, just phenomenal defense. I think Allen's defense, when you include their reserves, top to bottom, probably the most talented defense in the state. And when you combine that with a dynamic offense that's highlighted by Kyler Murray, you see Kyler Murray throwing a touchdown right here, they're nearly unbeatable. And Coppell needed to play a really perfect game. They turned the ball over on their very first possession, and that was really, the start of a bad start for Coppell. Murray looked good, especially in the first half with a couple of nice throws, and Allen cruises again. Going to maintain their number one, hold on the state rankings at this point.
Hey, Corbett, let me get your thoughts on a couple of the Mesquite schools. And I'm talking about Poteet. We just saw highlights of their win over Newman Smith. And also John Horn, as they got a big win. The Jags won over Robert E. Lee of Tyler tonight.
Yeah, I mean, two impressive schools with two new head coaches. If you look at what they've done, bringing in new head coaches, really very impressive. At Poteet, they've got a ton of athletes at the 4A level. Cody Groves moves up after Randy Jackson moves out to Plano East. And on the other side, you've got Mike Overton moving over from West Mesquite to take over a Horn program that's really loaded with talent. People don't really think about Mesquite Horn being a hotbed for talent, but they've got at least 4 FBS prospects in their senior class. They've got a couple of other kids in the pipeline that are going to be going to big schools, and these are big-time FBS programs too, like Oklahoma and Baylor. They've got a lot of talent. If you see what Longview did tonight, though, they're going to have to play really well to be able to challenge Longview for that 12-5A title.
Thanks, Corbett. Appreciate the news. Check out Corbett in the Dallas Morning News, and, of course, on 1310 The Ticket with David Newberry at the show before ours. All right, let's take a timeout. Coming up next, H-Town, Ahmad Vital of Scout.com. He's talking about a pair of undefeateds going at it in the Space City. Scoreboard Live rolls on in a moment.
Let's go way out west, out to the El Paso area. Coronado, a battle of Thunderbirds and Troopers taking on Eastwood. The T-Birds almost lose the ball for a safety. Nice tackle by Eastwood's Michael Solid. And then a field goal attempt. This one's muffed, and Coronado pouncing on it. Then it's Mickey Courtney to Austin Edens. The catch takes it in from 10 yards out at 7-0 Coronado. Punting situation, and this one comes down to Denver. He'll bring it back. Nice cut up the middle, and then outside 35 yards on this return. And then it'll be Brandon Bogan, 24-yard touchdown run. Thunderbirds on top 14-0, and T-Birds go on to get the win in this one 35-20.
To the greater Houston area, district opener between Lamar Consolidated and Rosenberg Terry. And we pick it up here early in the first. Tavares Thomas with a handoff. No doubting Thomas is about that beautiful run. They missed the extra point, though. Now in the second quarter, and it's Darius Turner, the burner, up the gut. Big room, and he'd be brought down by the 2. And then it's Thomas again. They don't kick the extra point, but that's all they needed. You saw all points in this one, 12-0. They win it. A couple of other games of interest in H-Town this weekend. Battle of Unbeatens. How about that one on Saturday between the two sides, Creek and Springs? And then Summer Creek, they continue their 18-game winning streak in the regular season. Aaron Sharp, he's a good one. He's a Kansas State commit at quarterback for them. He just put on a show tonight. And with that, let's bring in the source of Houston football, Ahmad Vital of Scout.com. You were at the Summer Creek impressive win tonight, my man, over Crosby in the Battle of Unbeatens here. What stood out to you in the game?
Well, the main thing, as you already mentioned, Aaron Sharp tonight, he was 18 for 30 for 280, 5 touchdowns and 45 yards on the ground. He was impressive, but also their junior running back out of the backfield, Deontay Chapman. He had 212 yards, and he had 5 touchdowns as well, 4 touchdowns rushing and 1 receiving. Also on the other side, you definitely have to mention that Austin Walters, one of the brothers, obviously headed over to Rice. He had 159 yards and 2 touchdowns, and I think both of the brothers combined had just over 400 yards. So it was really an offensive matchup going on here tonight. But it was strike for strike going back and forth. But Aaron Sharp, he was precise. You could see a lot of maturity in his game, and I can tell you what, Kansas State got a good one out of Aaron Sharp, and it showed here tonight.
Ahmad, Summer Creek is number 4 in Class 4A. Texas City is 6th. At number 9 is Pearland Dawson. All 3 of those schools won tonight. Looks like there's a lot of real good competition at the highest level of 4A. What about 5A? Is there anyone down there to challenge Katy?
If you're talking about within the confines of the greater Houston area, then I would have to probably say no. And if there is one, I have not seen him. Katy is just so sound on all sides, and I was actually talking with some colleagues tonight. And when you look at what Katy's coming with, when you look at the passing game, when you look at their rushing attack with Kyle Porter and Rodney Anderson, and obviously their defense is always going to be stout as well. They're just so sound on so many fronts, and they're so well coached, and they do everything just right. And I just don't see any team just being able to knock them off. Definitely not in the regular season.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Check out Ahmad at scout.com. He's always on the pulse of the best athletes in the greater Houston area.
Boy, this is one time if Katy goes D2, boy, wouldn't you like to see Allen and Katy be D1, D2 for an overall 5A title?
Coming up next, the Permian Basin. A great one in the old little Southwest Conference. Plus Austin, and a look at how the top 10 fared in Class 4A. You're watching Scoreboard Live. Back in a flash. To the little Southwest Conference, Abilene Cooper and Odessa. Loser of this one's 1-2 in district. First play of the game, Ryan Martinez to Fabian Galindo for the big game. Very next play, C.J. Edison on the carry. He'll go 35 yards to the house, and it is 7-0 pride of Odessa High. Cooper trying to respond now. A few plays later, Skylar Wilson, he'll go around the outside for the score, and the game is tied at 7. The Broncos on the Cooper 4. Martinez goes in the flat here, picked off by KV Hazlitt, and Odessa escapes this one 24-21.
Down to the greater Austin area. Remember, we talked about that big matchup last week with Georgetown and Elgin. Now it's Georgetown and undefeated Manor. And early on, that pass by Bottlinger picked off by Eric Fowler, 6-0 Mustangs. Then it's Manor's Denzel Feaster to Datron Guyton. He'll take it 56 yards for the touchdown. Look at this. Manor pops into the 4-8 pole first time, and they win over Georgetown 27-19. Now, Westlake and Bowie. Big test for Bowie. They were unbeaten, but could they handle a team like Westlake? You bet they could. Austin Eschenberg to Ben Sederquist, 38-yard touchdown. Dogs lead at 7-0. Eschenberg to Steve Johnson. They were up 21-0. Schaps answer. They come back. Fighting in the second half, Alex Chavez, an 8-yard touchdown run, but Bowie is still unbeaten, and next week it's Bowie and Lake Travis.
Wow, let's check the top 10 in Class 4A and how they fared tonight. Brought to you by the good people at State Farm. The Aledo Bearcats rule the land. Coach Buchanan says it's his best team he's ever had, and that's saying something with all those state title runs with Jonathan Gray. Aledo won 84-7 tonight against Arlington Heights, Craig.
Yeah, you have to believe they're really still very, very good. Brennan continues to quietly do its work. How impressive was White House tonight? Even though Carthage is a 3A, they were #1 in the state, and they go down. Summer Creek, we saw, they're very good. Geyer went about its business. Texas City, we talked about. Cedar Park, of course, a defending state champion. Hey, Elgin and Manor in 2 weeks. The Highway 290 rivals meet on a Thursday night.
Nice. Can't wait for that. Coming up next, the Bill Ford Top Player of the Week winners. Wichita Falls and Texoma. Byron Nelson and Wichita Falls Ryder open up district play. And the DQ Big Game of the Week right around the corner. To our Bill Ford Tough Player of the Week winners in Week 3. Nothing Mickey Mouse about Mickey Scott of San Angelo Central. L'Aquarion, We Are the Peoples of Fort Worth Dunbar connected on a 30-yard pass with 4 seconds to go to make Dunbar 4-0. In 3A, Kevrin Justice getting justice for Kilgore, beating Katy Cannon's Mount Pleasant in a career night. Ryan Cottingham of unbeaten Sunnyvale. This kid completed 72% of his passes this year. Michael Bishop of Electra is electrifying, ran for a career best 400 yards, 17 yards a carry. And in private schools, Braxton Berry of Garland Christian, he replaced former Player of the Week winner Hayden Burnett very nicely. Nominate your favorite player at playeroftheweek.com. In Wichita Falls, look out for Crum and their one-man wrecking crew. Brennan Ellis Crum is just their second season of UIL play against Hershey, and that's Deshaun Harley. Forced fumble and the recovery. We have a scoreless first quarter. Really good defense going on early on in this one. Then Cedric Battle. He'll go 19 yards here. Remember, Hershey had a 70-point game this year, which broke all kinds of school records. That made it 7-0 Hershey. Terrence Cooper to Deshaun Harley. And it's a 17-yard hookup, 14-0 Hershey, and then more from Battle, who lives up by his name. Watch him just battle for the touchdown from 8 yards out. 22-0 at halftime. It's all Hershey chomping on the crumbs, 36-14.
Moving on out to the Panhandle region, Amarillo Paladuro taking on Friendship, and this is a pretty impressive run right here by Antoine Turner. 48 yards, takes it in for the score, and the Dons on top 7-0. Now watch this. This might be the run of the night. This is Grant Sandercox busting out. Look at him. Looks like he is going to go down and then breaks through. Takes it in for the run there and the touchdown. Great run, and here's another one. In for the score. When it was all said and done, Friendship and Paladuro, it's Friendship with a win by 3.
All right, Craigers, let's take a look at the top 10 in Class 2A. It's yeoman's work at the top for the defending state champs from Cameron. A lot of legitimate challengers, though, Craig.
Absolutely. Newton down in East Texas, going to be really, really hard to keep that. Hey, do we forget about Jerry Long's defending state champions in Division II, East Bernard? How about New Boston, way up in Northeast Texas?
You love them.
And those Wall Hawks keeping out of. Anytime you've got a lot of those really good East Texas schools like Tatum, Newton, New Boston, Franklin down in the Brazos Valley is one to watch, and those Brahmas of Hallettsville had a great year last year, and looks like Refugio's back on.
Yeah, 70 points, 70-0 tonight.
Also, look at that other matchup there. 7th-ranked Cisco beating Stamford, ranked high in Class A. That was an interclassification matchup of two highly ranked schools, but it was Cisco, the Lobos, getting the victory.
Coming up next, we've all heard of Euless Trinity's Haka dance. Well, they have a new one. It's called Sippy Ta. Find out what that's all about next on the DQ Big Game of the Week.
Oh, yeah, we are at the brand new DQ in Euless, Texas. Now, Trinity High School is pretty much right across the street, but it's being invaded by Panthers today. It's a road trip for Colleyville Heritage, but they're looking to make this a business trip and do something that's never been done in 8 years, and that's beat Trinity High School in a district game. Can they do it?
Yes!
Get this show on the road. It is a first district game of the year. It's Colleyville Heritage and Trinity High School, and it's big enough to be our DQ Big Game of the Week. Let's roll!
Along the coastal bend, it's King High School, Corpus Christi, hosting Smithson Valley early, and early on it's Smithson Valley. Garrett Smith with the sneak up the middle for the touchdown, 7-3, as Smithson Valley gets the gets the lead, and the King can't hold on to the ball. Fumble, it's a Smithson Valley recovery, and then Smith is the guy, and all night long he was the man. Finds Joseph Barcelo for the touchdown. 14-3, Smithson Valley wins it handily, 61-18.
Well, this week's DQ Big Game of the Week is Pass Meeting Run. Only 4 schools this decade have multiple state titles in Class 5A, and Euless Trinity is, of course, one of them. Coached by the legendary Steve Lineweaver, who's in the top 35 in wins all time in the state of Texas with his 3 titles. Opposing teams and fans like to show up early just to see Trinity dance, no matter what it's called. And they've been featured in national ads with Bill Parcells. But Colleyville Heritage has been nipping at their heels. Second in district 3 straight years. Neil Beasley, alongside producer Clark Rowe, who's a Trinity alum, class of 97, and proud of it. Here's the DQ Big Game of the Week.
Colleyville Heritage High School, smack dab in the middle of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Heritage, a traditional top 100 school in Newsweek magazine. They They don't bow to just anyone. The home of the Minnesota Vikings quarterback Christian Ponder would love to dance circles around Trinity tonight. And in so doing, turn Trinity's haka dance into a nada dance. A 3-point overtime loss to the Trojans in 2011 is more than enough motivation this year.
We stand tall! We stand tall! We stand tall! We stand tall! We can't fall! We can't fall! We can't fall! We can't fall! I love it! I love it! I love it! I love it! 1, 2, 1, 2!
But over at Trinity, the Trojans have been stomping the competition for years. Football to these guys is black and white. You show up, you win. Trinity faithful would go nuts for their 4th state title since 2005 if they can get it done. Just 1 and 2 this year, but they've played 3 powerhouse programs. They'll be back out of the doghouse with a win tonight in district game number 1. One of, if not the most diverse schools in the country. Over 40 different home languages spoken here. That's 40 different ways to say win. Leading that diversity here at Trinity High School is that great Tongan influence in all those wonderful names, like Mosesi Vakasiola, Ponapate Tusini, Tavita Falaola, Sunia Makahunu Niu, Bam, Sione Saketi, Jake Murphy. How'd he get in here? The Polynesian influence so big right here next to DFW Airport because of American Airlines connections to the region. But you probably know them more for the Sippy Tau or the old haka. And no matter what you call it, it's still just as intimidating. Trojans also playing for 3 football brethren, killed this offseason in a car accident. But they're playing well. First series for Heritage, stud quarterback Griffin Pickler in a pickle. Down he goes, zoinks, fumble. Kyle Unga not only nabs it, but goes a quick 6 the other way. Wow, 7-0 Trojans real quick. In fact, next series, Pickler gets canned. Quarterback draw, but bam! Inoka Nalo lays him out. The future Houston Cougar ringing it. Sets up this. Kenneth Gonzalez, how about it? 14-0 after 1 quarter play. Trinity racks up 131 yards rushing in the first half. Edric Gonzalez, Kenneth's brother, all 5'5", 134 pounds of him, goes in here. 21-0. Uh-oh. Not a DQ blowout, is it? Just 121 before half and 91 yards away. No worries. 6 plays capped here. Christian Hammock, 38 yards to Gonzalez. Backbreaker. 28-0 at the half. Trinity Trojans cruising. Heritage, 5 fumbles, 2 of them lost, and 3 quarterbacks in the first half alone. Second half, it gets physical. Third Panther quarterback, Trevor Anderson, popped as he scrambles, but that just starts the madness. Heritage returns the favor. Jacob says, hammers Dion Guignard. Ouch. Woo, they are laying it. In the fourth, Hammock running, drilled late out of bounds. Lots of late flags between these bitter rivals. And 2 plays later, hey, don't sleep on Hammock. Bootleg, 9-yard touchdown run. Ball game. 35-14 is your hard-fought district final.
We start off hitting them hard, and then, you know, they just, I guess they didn't want to run the ball. I don't know.
Good things happen when you hit them hard.
Yes, sir.
We definitely get their A game. I mean, we don't see any slouches in our district. But, I mean, the win feels good, and it did feel good to come out and set the tone and maintain the tone the whole game.
I don't think the defense can see me. They're just so big. But I give all the credit to them. They do all their blocks and stuff. And just glory to God.
They go to church with some of these boys. I mean, we're that close to them geographically, and plus we hadn't been at home. They just like to play before the home crowd. And, yeah, it's good to get off to a good start on the scoreboard, but we can play a lot better.
All right, the first district game is in the books, but Trinity's 8-year district winning streak lives on! For photographer Jeff Irwin and producer Clark Rowe, I'm Neil Beasley with your DQ. Big game of the week.
Man, I like that Speedy Gonzalez. He can really fly. Great stuff from there. Hey, Beezer, Jeff, and Clark will take their act to Nolan Ryan's alma mater next week when you see the Manville taking on Alvin. Should be a great one as Manville has been a state power in such a short amount of time. Well, Craig, let's take a look at the top 10 in Class 5A. We know Euless Trinity's probably going to be there in the end. They got to gather up some wins, but as we take a look at it, everybody's looking up at Allen. I wish we could get that Allen-Katy State Championship game. Make it happen!
Well, Katie's in D2 and Allen's D1. It's not gonna, but you still could have plenty of great other matchups. Look at how impressive DeSoto's been. North Shore could be D1, obviously. Lamar was in the D1 final against Allen last year. Coppell lost Allen tonight, but they're still tough to beat. Cibolo Steel has been rolling along. We just saw Smithson Valley winning big, and, you know, South Lake Carroll, impressive, back on track. The only loss, of course, to Allen. And Pflugerville-Hendrickson, only their second year in 5A, making their debut season good last year in the playoffs and even better this year. Let me also say this about Class 5A. It might be a little bit premature to count out a couple of 5A teams that we know quite a bit about. One, you just saw, Euless Trinity. Yeah, a couple of early losses. They're not in the poll. The other, Lake Travis. Second year in 5A. Lake Travis, of course, lost their season opener to Converse Judson. They had a game stormed out last week against A&M Consolidated. Last night, they beat Austin High 51-12. It was 51-0 at the half. They scored 34 first-quarter points on 11 offensive plays. They have the dynamic Sean Nixon, so that huge matchup in the greater Austin area next week of Lake Travis and Bowie. We find out even more about Bowie since Jeff Avell's ball club comes off the big win over Westlake. But again, don't forget about Lake Travis. Don't sleep on them. And the same goes for Euless Trinity.
Yeah, excited to see Hendrickson get in the poll with their great running back, Samaje Pirine, who's going to Oklahoma. Coming up next, Scout.com's Aaron Hardigan. We'll take a look at the best defensive guys up front, plus the Panhandle, Brazos, and so much more. You're watching the fastest hour in television sports.
Apparently I'm a witch. There's something I should have told you. There's a school there for girls like you. You'll be safe.
Idiots. The only thing you have to be afraid of is me. You girls need to learn to fight. When witches don't fight, we burn.
Scoreboard Live, I'm Aaron Hardigan. In the last 3 weeks, we've covered the offensive skills positions. Now we move to the defensive side, taking a look at some of the top defensive ends in the state. While Miles Garrett of Arlington Martin and Coppell's Solomon Thomas remain on the market and wanted by nearly every major BCS program, Texas and Texas A&M have already each snagged 2. Mac Bright and the Longhorns with verbal commitments from Abilene's Jake McMillan and Derek Roberson of St. Antonio Brennan, and Kevin Sutherland and the Aggies with Jarrett Johnson of Katy Seven Lakes and Manville's Coda Martin, who will likely flip to the offensive line when in College Station. Meanwhile, Notre Dame comes into Texas and snags Grant Blankenship of the Colony. Next week, we'll take a look at the top defensive tackles. For now, back to more with Rick and Craig. Guys.
All right. Thank you very much, Aaron. Let's move up to the Lake Texoma region, Red River Valley, to historic Munson Stadium. Denison Yellow Jackets hosting the Wiley East Raiders. Denison on the move on the first drive. It's Denard Whitfield. Whitfield, really talented tailback. He's gone. Jackets jump to the 7-0 lead 2 minutes into the game. Wiley East ties it in the second quarter as Raiders quarterback Garrett McCain into the flat to Mitchell Clark. That'll tie the score at 7. Jackets on the march now. Going for it. 4th and 2. Whitfield goes more than 2. He goes to the house. Actually, down inside the 5, but the Jackets are in business because a couple plays later, Devin Blanton will keep and score. Look at that final. Denison over Wiley East 47-46. From way up at the Red River down to the Rio Grande as we go for Progresso's Marching Red Ants taking on Donna North.
The Red Ants?
Their first first ever home game, varsity home game for Donna North. They get on top 3-0 after the field goal, but then it's those Red Ants getting it done. On the ground, quarterback has Esteban Olivares in for the sneak. Olivares looks good through the air as well. Progresso has won 3 straight games for the first time since 2007. The Marching Red Ants march to a 14-10 final. Donna North falls in their first ever home game.
I think we got some Red Ants on the set here. How about the Red Ants? Love getting them on the show. Let's take a look at the top 10 in Class 3A with top-ranked Carthage losing to 4A powerhouse White House. I got to ask you, Craig, do you think it will hurt them in the standings?
Yeah, they're going to drop out at number 1 there. Even though White House is a state-ranked 4A team, Gilmer is poised to move into that number 1 spot. Navasota, that was Alston's run. We'll see some of the numbers on that coming up in a few minutes. Argyle quietly moving on, and the Raging Red of Kilgore still moving. The East Texas contingent in the lower classifications, always difficult to beat. Big game on Saturday as Stephenville will play Amarillo as they'll meet kind of halfway, meet in Snyder to play that contest. And way down south, the Tarpons of Port Isabel with the win. El Campo with a week off.
Yeah, I like that El Campo team. Keep an eye on them. Don't sleep on them. Coming up next, the Ford Watch List, El Paso, more Valley Boys, and the Super Centex after this short timeout. Don't go anywhere. Roll out the Bill Ford Tough Player of the Week watch list. Some of the guys we're keeping an eye on. Alif Elsick has a good one in Baylor-bound Ishmael Zamora. And how about Rockwall's Chris Warren? He's only a junior, plays like his NFL dad by the same name. Vote for your favorite player. Get it nominated at playeroftheweek.com. Let's boogie to El Paso, where El Paso in non-district play is still going down. Canutillo and Parkland. It's Gomez to C. Van Gien, who gets the interception. How about it? And then later on, Andrew Alicorn getting in there from 3 yards out. It's 7-0 Canutillo. Then Gomez, a 51-yard touchdown pass to Regilio Esparza. And look at him get into the end zone. Some really good athletes out in El Paso. Look out for these guys. Anthony Dudley, a 10-yard gain, but Parkland only 30 yards in the first quarter. And Canutillo rolls 47-0.
Look out for that blue turf, too. Back down to the valley we go. Ed Caltelsa and Roma to Starr County. Rough start for the Yellow Jackets. Quite a few turnovers in the first half. Jackets' first offensive play of the game. Noe Gonzalez right into the hands of Roma quarterback Joe Flores. A few plays later, it's Gladiator quarterback R.J. Garza back to Flores in the end zone, 7-0 Gladiators on top. A few more Yellow Jacket fumbles. Gladiators then quickly throw more numbers on the board. This time it's Orly Solis, who broke the Valley single-game rushing record a few weeks ago, goes in for the score. 14-0 Roma, they go on to the win.
To Waco, matchup of district opposites. Midway went unbeaten in district last year while Ellison went winless. 23-game losing streak coming in. Panthers leading 3-0 at Jacob. Ledford throwing into traffic. Not a good idea. And this interception goes all the way down to the 5-yard line. Then Midway cashes in Ben Hicks to Devontre Strickland in the end zone. And they missed the extra point. It'd be 9-0 Midway after one, and they win it 34-14. Elsewhere, Waco High quarterback training Moore setting school records all the time in the last meeting between these two with Cleburne. And early on, it's the Lions, Dwight worthy of that one. That led to this, a 1-yard quarterback keeper from Mr. Moore. That ties it at 14-all. Fourth quarter now, Darion McCullough in from 1 yard out. And Cleburne back in front 21-14, but then it's Brian Baca who throws back across the field to Reggie Robinson, a 23-yard score. Yellow Jackets win it 28-14, the final. Class 1A, as we look at it, Stanford, how about that? The defending state champs. So we had 2 number 1s go down tonight.
Yeah, and Stanford, and both of them in Carthage and Stanford lost to highly ranked teams in upper classifications. In the case of Stanford, it's falling to Cisco. Can't wait for this matchup coming up in a couple of weeks. Wellington and Chilton. Look at number 2 and number 4. An odd non-district game 7 weeks into the season, but they'll meet and play that game in Graham. Keep an eye on that. Mason bounces back with a big win. Mart now has dropped 2 in a row. Lost to Rogers last week. They fall to Goldthwaite tonight. And Anson also falls to Coleman. The Blue Cats with the win. Hey, want to correct one thing, Rick, that Ed Caltelsa Roma game, we saw all the Roma highlights from the first half. Ed Caltelsa comes back with 3 rushing touchdowns from Israel Laredo, 2 to get it in overtime, the third to win it. In the second overtime, Ed Calcelsa ended up getting the win in that one, 20-14.
Wow, pretty impressive. So we see Allen hold serve and do an incredible job against Coppell. They look like they're rolling, and it looks like it's going to be very difficult to beat that Allen team.
The fun thing that we're going to see now is schools getting headlong into district play now. There's another non-district week or two here or there, and it depends, and you have some buys still to come. But we're going to see a lot of teams now headlong into big district showdowns in the coming weeks.
Hey, a reminder, Saturday, the Texas Rangers and Angels game has been moved up to 11 a.m. to beat the rain. 10:30 start time on Rangers Live. And after that, college football Saturday. Houston at UTSA on Fox Sports 1. You can see the battle for the Iron Skillet with SMU TCU at 11 a.m. Thanks so much for watching. For Craig Way, I'm Rick Renner. We'll see you next week on High School Scoreboard Live. Have a great and a safe weekend.